Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7fm.com. Here is the Z107.7 local news for Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. The suspect in a sexual assault on a child barricaded himself inside of a Yucca Valley house yesterday morning, beginning a 5-hour standoff that ended with the suspect in custody. At around 6 a.m. on Monday, deputies from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Morongo Basin Station received information that Carlos Hernandez, a 27-year-old resident of Yucca Valley, had repeatedly sexually assaulted a 14-year-old victim. Deputies say that he provided the victim with methamphetamine and marijuana as part of the abuse. The victim's mother told deputies she confronted Hernandez about the abuse, at which point he threatened to kill her with a knife. Deputies responded to a residence in the 5600 block of Anaconda Drive in Yucca Valley, and they say that Hernandez was in the house and refused to open the door and barricaded himself inside. Deputies say that a standoff occurred lasting more than 5 hours, and with assistance from the sheriff's Specialized Enforcement Division, Hernandez was taken into custody. Neighbors in the Yucca Valley neighborhood reported a heavy sheriff's department presence, sharing photos of helicopters and armored vehicles on social media throughout the day. The Morongo Basin Station issued an advisory asking the public to stay out of the area during the standoff. Carlos Hernandez was arrested on suspicion of committing lewd acts with a minor, making criminal threats, and assault with a deadly weapon. He is being held at the West Valley Detention Center on $80,000 bail. The Yucca Valley Town Council will consider 2 recent code changes presented by the Planning Commission at tonight's meeting. Here is reporter Adeline J. Wells with a look at what you can expect.
The Yucca Valley Town Council meeting will begin with 2 public hearings on development code changes, the first of which will concern food vendors and mobile food carts. Following several weeks of discussions, the Planning Commission recommended the adoption of a new ordinance on the matter at their meeting on August 27th. If passed by the Town Council, it will establish regulations for such vendors on private property, in the public right-of-way, and at food truck events in Yucca Valley. The Council will then hold a second public hearing on several minor code adjustments regarding housing. The state recently amended its laws to make it easier to access specific housing resources, such as residential care or emergency transitional housing. The town's proposed amendment provides consistency between the 2014 General Plan Update and the 2022 Updated Housing and Safety Elements. Following the presentation of the Public Works Annual Report, the Town Council will review its resolution of support for Measures Y and Z, both of which will be on the ballot this election. The 2 half-cent tax measures were adopted in 2016. Measure Z funds reduce the cost of the sewer assessment system for residents, while Measure Y funds are used for public safety, infrastructure, and quality of life improvements for Yucca Valley. Tonight's meeting is open to the public and begins at 6 p.m. at the Yucca Valley Community Center. Reporting for Z107.7, this is Adeline J. Wells.
The city of 29 Palms announced yesterday the grand marshals for this year's Pioneer Days celebration as Robert Ittmeyer and Kathy Jorgensen Ittmeyer. City officials described the Ittmeyers as a dynamic couple that has long been a cornerstone for the 29 Palms community, contributing decades of service, education, and leadership. Residents of 29 Palms since 1987, Bob Ittmeyer retired as a Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel in 1991 and embarked on a second career, teaching woodshop at 29 Palms Junior High School and later at Monument and Black Rock High Schools. Kathy Ittmeyer has contributed to the community as the former chair of the Hospice of Morongo Basin, and for the past 37 years, she has sung with the Blessed Sacrament Choir. She currently serves on the governing board of the High Desert Medical Center. Bob and Kathy Ittmeyer will proudly lead the annual Pioneer Days Parade on Saturday, October 19th, through the streets of downtown 29 Palms. Community members will also have the opportunity to meet and congratulate the Ittmeyers at the Mara Mixer on Thursday, October 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the 29 Palms Inn. Last Friday, Copper Mountain College welcomed California Poet Laureate Lee Herrick for Poetry and the Power of Place, Identity, and Belonging, an hour-and-a-half-long presentation that included a poetry reading from Herrick, a live discussion mediated by Mojave Poet Laureate Ruth Nolan, and a Q&A. Reporter Gabriel Hart was there and tells us a bit more about Herrick's life as Poet Laureate, along with highlights from his presentation.
A state's official Poet Laureate might seem like a cushy, relaxed job, but when Nolan introduced Herrick, she mentioned the hectic rock star schedule of the Korean-American poet, appearing everywhere from elementary and high schools, libraries, senior centers, even prisons all over the state. doing outreach and connecting our citizens through the art of poetry. Herrick said in 2023 he appeared at 120 events. Originally serving as the Poet Laureate of Fresno from 2015 to 2017, Herrick was appointed to the state's poet by Governor Newsom in 2022. Newsom said, quote, "Lee's dedication to highlighting the diverse experience of Californians and making them so accessible through poetry makes him the perfect candidate. His canon explores the diversity and vitality of the California experience and the exhilarating success of the American experiment," unquote. Born in Daejeon, South Korea, and adopted as an infant, Herrick grew up in Modesto, California, immersed in literature, art, and various cultural influences. He recalled his poetic origins.
I remember at a very early age loving the sound of words. I remember in probably my sophomore or junior year, I was listening to a lot of like Led Zeppelin and things like that, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. And then I started listening to a lot of punk, which has a real visceral energy to it. So a lot of punk. I'll never forget the day Jeremy Eggenberger in math passed me a cassette tape. And in his little chicken scratch handwriting, it said, "Run DMC." Just scratch group. I took it home. I thought it was a punk group. I took it home, and it sort of blended with the reading I was doing in school. And it gave me a place to be creative.
Herrick went on to describe the 8-month process of becoming our state's Poet Laureate, including numerous interviews before being nominated by a panel of writers, artists, and educators whose identities are kept confidential. Herrick was then forwarded to the governor's office, where he was interviewed twice with the governor's 6-person staff. The conclusion was a surprise visit by Governor Newsom to Herrick's classroom while he was teaching, to give Herrick his official title. Since then, he describes the experience as, quote, "pure joy."
I'm sitting there teaching my class, and the door opens. And it's Governor Newsom and his wife, Jennifer C. Newsom. He said, "Don't let us interrupt you. Just keep teaching." That's exactly what I said. It's been pure joy. It's been pure joy.
In Herrick's poem, My California, he weaves a vast multicultural tapestry of our Golden State, citing wine country, Fresno's beer-soaked gutters, good salsa, farmers markets, and the hope for, quote, "less of a police state and more for the state of grace." To further his encouragement for inclusivity, Herrick announced his new project, Our California, a collaboration with the California Arts Council inspired by Herrick's poem. The project invites all Californians to write a poem about their city, town, or state, exploring what they love about it, what joy they find in it, what they would change, and what they would hope for. For a link to submit, please visit the story at Z107.7fm.com. Reporting for Z107.7, this is Gabriel Hart.
The town of Yucca Valley has announced that they're holding a draw club led by a professional instructor. Arts and entertainment reporter Charlie Thomas busts out his drawing pencils to illustrate the situation for you.
The Town of Yucca Valley Recreation Department proudly announces the creation of a unique series of workshops called Draw Club that offers instruction on how to draw from a live model. Led by instructor Benjamin Vital, who is the creative director and founder of Mojave Desert-based Ocean Studios, which have designed for iconic brands such as Ralph Lauren and Urban Outfitters. The class consists of a series of 5-minute quick poses and builds up to a 40-minute pose towards the end of the session. All experience levels are welcome. Space is limited and pre-registration is required. The class is offered to participants age 16 and over from 5 to 7 p.m. on October 3rd, December 5th, February 6th, and March 6th. Course fee is $20. Bring your own supplies or purchase a drawing supplies kit for $35 from the instructor. Register today at yucca-valley.org. Take this opportunity to learn from an industry professional. Reporting for Z107.7, this is arts and entertainment reporter Charlie Thomas.
And finally, the 29 Palms High School Lady Cats volleyball teams traveled to India last night for an exciting but tough loss. The junior varsity team lost in 2. Emma Avalos had 4 aces. Arabella Straggs put down 3 kills, and Haley Stevenson had 2 assists. The varsity team had an intense matchup against the Indio team, going for long rallies and point for point. Ultimately, the Cats lost in 5. Senior Jenica Silvas had 1 ace, 6 assists, put down 12 kills, and solid defense with 20 digs. Senior Jade James had solid defense at the net, serving up 2 ace serves, 2 assists, 4 kills, and 8 digs. The Cats had 34 touches for the night and never gave up. The 29 Palms High School Lady Cats volleyball team is now 1-4 in league. They travel to Trojan territory on Wednesday. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. If you hear about news happening, let us know. Email us at tips@z1077fm.com. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z1077 Local News, I'm Jeff Harmetz.